moment, and how you as property investors should be reacting to it. We're going to explain a little bit about the announcements from the Chancellor yesterday evening. Mark's not going to focus too much on the pubs, clubs, and restaurants being shut, though.
Depressing.
We are going to talk through obviously all of the implications as we see them, but I'm sure Mark would agree that a lot of this is very, very positive from last night, and our job now is to spot the opportunities in this. So let's just have a look. Mark, just give us before we go into the detail, just give us your first initial reactions to last night's announcements.
They're pumping money into the economy. It's only a positive. Yeah, they're doing whatever they can. The word is bazooka. That's the word that I would use. Not like the financial crisis of 2008, where there was a lot of hesitation, dithering, discussions. This time they've just gone bang, and yeah, it's positive. Although the whole situation truly is very, very, very dire out there. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it would be fair to say this is a wartime budget type of thing, isn't it? This is unprecedented.
Yeah.
Okay, so those of you that are logging on already, if you can pop any questions you've got in here, we plan to just kind of give a little bit of running commentary for a few minutes, and then as we get a few more people and a couple of questions, we'll start to cover some of the announcements from last night. We'll give you a quick summary. What's good, what's bad, what potentially we see coming down the stream, and then keeping in mind that this is a relatively short-term set of measures versus the amount of time that you're going to be holding assets for that you're buying for long-term cash flow. So, Mark, what's your thoughts on the longer-term, view on this? Where are we? Where are we at the moment? We're reacting to the initial shock. What should people be thinking on a scale of 1 to 10? Positivity long term.
Positivity long term. I mean, don't bet against the human race is my bit. We're very, what's the right word? Necessity is the mother of invention. Yeah, that's right. So people will come up with ideas and come up with different solutions and make things work. I take the view, and I put it out on social media yesterday. I take the lead from the Warren Buffett quote of the .com crash of 1999, early 2000 there, and people really had invested their life savings into this .com thing, and it just went poof, just overnight, literally gone overnight. And at the time, Warren Buffett was interviewed, and he came out with this quote, and I've kept it and I'm still using it today, even when I'm teaching, where he goes, in the 20th century, and it was the whole of the 20th century, because it was right at the end of the 20th century, the United States had endured 2 world wars and other traumatic and expensive military conflicts, the Depression, a dozen or so recessions and financial panics, oil shocks, flu epidemics, and the resignation of a disgraced president, that yet the Dow rose from 66 to 11,500. And even today, that's at just under 20,000. And, to me, just don't bet against the human race. We will pull this out. Yeah. Just one of those periods of our history where we will come out of. We've had plagues, we've had flu epidemics before, and the world has carried on in some way, shape, or form. And our job is really to manoeuvre through those periods.
Sure. And without getting party political, what's your views on the way Boris and the Chancellor and the others have really attacked this as an issue?
Decisive, right leadership. Whether it's right or wrong, I've got no idea. I'll let you know in about 5 years' time. Right, but they made decisions, and they made courageous decisions. Yeah. So for that, I admire them. I'm not having a go at them in any way, shape, or form. They're doing the best they can with the knowledge and the tools that they've got in front of them right now. Full credit to them. 10 out of 10.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at a few of the measures that have been introduced that were announced last night. Obviously, the pubs, clubs, restaurants, leisure centres are closing. And they talked about that being month by month. What sort of an impact do you think that's going to have on the economy in the short term and jobs?
I just think the whole country is going to go into shutdown. So demand is absolutely falling away, and because the demand is falling away, that's actually going to impact incomes, but incomes and money flowing through the economy. But because of the measures the government have taken, that is going to balance all that out. Look, I'm not an economist, but I can see what's happening. They're pumping money into our pockets through um, um, uh, mortgage reductions, mortgage holidays, etc. They're even going to be paying people 80% of their income up to 2,500 or something like that. I saw people don't have to pay the taxes. People don't have to pay the VAT for now. Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
Yeah, there'll always
How
be
do you
VAT
feel
on.
about not paying the tax man for a little bit?
Well, he'll still want his pound of flesh further down the road. That's the way I view it. But
Yeah.
it means that it means that you've got a cash surplus. So my VAT bill is due at the end of this month. I'm supposed to pay. I can hold on to it. The money is there, luckily. Right now, I've got my emergency funds built up for periods like this. So that's not going to affect me too much. But small businesses rely on cash flow. People rely on cash flow. So just making sure that people don't pay out money that they don't have to is a bit of a priority to me. Yeah, it just makes them feel that little bit warmer. Yeah, a little bit more secure.
Yeah, and that's clearly the measures they're trying to take, isn't it? Especially around the payment
Yeah,
holidays for mortgages. It's about
yeah.
giving people the drop in interest rates. I mean, can you ever remember two drops in interest rates in less than 2 weeks?
I'm not seeing it. Never.
No,
Yeah.
and we're at an all-time low. So these are the sorts of levers government have got, aren't they, to reduce the fear and the anxiety in people. Obviously, still a
That's
worrying
exactly
time.
what they're trying to do, and that's leadership right now. Yeah, whether it's right or wrong, it'll only be proved in about 5 years' time.
Yeah. Okay, so let's have a look at a few of the specific measures that were announced by the Chancellor. We're talking about a coronavirus job retention scheme, and that for most people, I would have thought is going to be the biggest issue. Is that am I going to get paid? And there's two angles to this, Mark, isn't there? There's the economic, is their money in their pocket, but also we talk a lot on creative finance about people needing structure, needing something to do. That's
Yeah,
as much as important.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
Definitely. For me, there that bit about more or less guaranteeing wages. I don't know how it deals with self-employed people like myself. Look, I'm quite lucky, but I'm thinking about the market trader, the guy down on the market there, trying to scratch a living, literally to put any bit of food on his table. Those are the people that I'm more concerned for. People that did have a job, right? There will be some form of protection, some form of income coming in. The people that I am worried about are the people that are vulnerable, the pound per hour people, the 0 hour contract people. They're the ones who are going to struggle the most. Yeah, and the self-employed. The plumber, the electrician. Yeah, the guys that are hopefully working on some of the projects that you've got. Yeah, those are the people that are going to, I think, be impacted more than anybody. Yeah, right, and I'm hoping that there'll be some measures in there, some form of protection in there for those people as well. Yeah, God knows how they do it, but
yeah,
I'm sure that there's mechanisms because they'll have filed tax returns, etc. Over the last couple of years or so. Hopefully, yeah.
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not a politician, and I'm not an economist. But to me, those are the people that are vulnerable. Those are the people that in my portfolio that's the tenant as tenants the pound per hour people. They're the ones that I've just said, look, don't worry about the rent for the next 3 months. Yep, don't even think about it, and we'll have a discussion in 3 months' time. And if in 3 months' time it's not sorted out, we'll give them another 3 months, and we'll just take it bit by bit by bit. Yeah, that's the
right.
way I'm trying to deal with it. Yeah.
So that's an interesting strategy. And those that have got tenants up and running, got a portfolio, It's one of the things that possibly they can be looking at. Obviously, they're going to be conscious of their cash flow, but I think at this point, our values within Asset Academy is about helping people. Obviously, we're there to make money, no bones about it. But we are there to look after people, and in the long run, that's repaid, isn't it? I mean, you've seen that time and time again with tenants that where they deserve help, not the scallies, but where they deserve help, that's the sort of thing that we can be looking at, payment plans.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the job right now is to help protect those people, because they have helped and protected us, right? And further down the road, they won't forget that. They will not forget what we've just done. Yeah, and that's good karma. I did say it in the message yesterday. Just go out there and love everybody. Yeah, be sympathetic and be empathetic as well at the same time. These things have a way of coming back and helping you. I'm not saying that you're the massive charity. Russ, you mentioned the Scallies, and we all know who the Scallies are in our portfolios. We'll have to deal with them, right? However, the people that for no fault of their own, we will support as best we can for as long as we can.
Yeah. Okay. For those of you that are wondering why I'm kind of just flicking my eyes to the right every couple of minutes, it's just to keep an eye on the questions that are coming in so that we can start to build an idea of what you're thinking and what you're wanting us to answer over the next half an hour or so. So just touching on what Mark was saying there about helping people, one of the things we've done in our portfolio this week, we manage a number of tenants up in the couple of hundreds. We've been through each tenancy. We've looked at what their job is, where they're working, and we've done a risk assessment on them. Low, medium, and high. With what was announced last night, really the high risk people, as Mark was saying, are the self-employed. We've got taxi drivers, we've got people that run very small businesses. They work for themselves. The tradespeople, they're the guys that over the weekend we're contacting and saying, look, talk to us. Tell us what your situation is. Tell us when you see the downturn starting to hit. And we're also trying to help them with the positive stuff. So, for example, if you look, every action has an opposite reaction. So, as we're all locked up at home, Amazon have announced they're going to introduce another 100,000 jobs across the country to cope in, warehouse picker packers, delivery drivers. So unless and until the country goes on complete lockdown, there are going to be some industries that boom, and jobs that are being created. We've started a new job this week, employing somebody just to help tenants through these next few months. So whatever's happening in the economy, there'll always be a positive to take from it. We're going through. So you really, I would say your most vulnerable tenants, the self-employed, the contractors, the 0 hours people that might be cut. Looking then into the medium risk people, which is really most people on an income, most people on a job. The risk there is really about cash flow. From our perspective, we've got people who are going to lose their job, but they're going to get help. They're going to get support. It might just be that as landlords, maybe our money's going to be delayed 5, 6, 7 weeks. Yeah. And we'll touch a little bit more on attack and defense strategies later on, how you can protect your cash flow. Because for most people, if you've got tenants in some form of job, they're going to get help. 5 to 6 weeks is the typical. I'd imagine, well, we know the universal credit line is absolutely jam-packed because we've got tenants coming back telling us that. But also, we're going to have, I suspect we're going to see non-essential council workers redeployed to answering those kind of phones to help people, because the government, local authorities can't be seen to be leaving people at a time of need. That'll be the reaction I see.
Yeah.
And then you've got your lower risk folk, the people who are possibly already in the kind of work that's going to be essential. So our NHS workers, our doctors, we're near a hospital. These sorts of people are actually quite low risk. The people already on housing benefit, where the money's already coming, we can look at them and think, right, okay, well that's where the base of our income's going to come over the next few weeks and months that we can rely on. Mark, you've talked for a long time, haven't you, having a mix of social housing, private tenants for precisely this reason.
Exactly this reason. It's right at the very beginning of my journey, it was pointed out to me is the best way to protect your cash flows is, even when I started out in 2002, was to get housing benefit people, and the original thought of housing benefit people was like the ne'er-do-wells. Me growing up on a council estate, I knew how ne'er-do-wells they were. Yeah. And it was pointed out to me that if you get the right type of tenants in there, they'll stay there for the rest of their lives. And so that became an anchor of my strategy right at the very beginning. People laughed and ridiculed me for buying, those crappy houses in the back streets of Blackpool, and the northwest. And why aren't you doing the fancy posh stuff down here in London, etc., etc.? But I was buying for cash flow, and I was actually buying to protect my income streams, yeah, for the downturn, because it's quite easy to make money in an up market. The hard bit is now, yeah. This is when we see what's got really happening out there, yeah.
Yeah.
So social housing to me was absolutely core, or housing benefit as I call it, yeah, out there. And again, that what will happen is that in 2000, prior to 2008, all you ever saw around the country was no DSS tenants. Then all of a sudden, people woke up in the 2008 financial crisis and realised, oh my God, right? Workers lose their jobs, yeah. And if workers lose their jobs, workers, number one, because they're proud people, don't like to tell people that they're in financial difficulty. And because they don't tell people that they're in financial difficulty, we get a shock all of a sudden, right? And and it's one of the pieces that we're doing right now, is if anybody has lost their job properly, we're telling them straight away, literally, to go out and try and get their housing benefit, get registered as quickly as they can. Why? Because they'll get paid from the day that it's actually registered, yeah. Even though we might not get it for 2-3 months, but we will get it at some point in future. And people woke up to that in 2008, in a big way. But as the years have disappeared from 2008, people's memories have got that little bit, fuzzy, forgotten about those strategies. Again, social housing will become core to anybody that's involved in property today. Just making sure that future income streams are protected in downturns, right? Because there will be here we are, we're in a downturn. It's a very sharp downturn, very, very sharp downturn. There will be an up. We just don't know when it'll be, right? But even when there's an up and things are good again, there'll always be another down, yeah. And this is a cycle, yeah. This is a reset of a market, the way that I'm looking at it right now, yeah, opportunities are going to come out the back end of it. I'm not saying go out and fill your boots today, because the knife is still falling, so don't catch that falling knife. Once it's bounced a couple of times, then we can start thinking, okay, right, now we can lift our head up. Those are just some of the ideas that I've got flowing through my head.
Yeah. So, I mean, that answers one of the questions that's been put on here. Really, is what should we be doing at the moment? People have been on the various courses, are told obviously go out, take action, put offers in. What should we be doing right now is the question. Should we be out there?
And it is the question. It is the question, right? What do we do right now? So number one for me is protect your cash, right? Don't pay out where you don't have to. Yeah. And for those that are in my inner circle, Russ, you being one of them, one of the first things I said is, look, guys, don't pay your tax bills. That's the first thing I said, because I knew there would be some form of forbearance coming, because of what was going on. So not paying the tax bill, having that cash reserve just put by. Don't go out and spend on luxury items right now. Now's not the time. This is a crisis, so protect your cash as much as possible. just don't pay out where you don't have to pay out. Even the lenders, right, are giving us payment holidays. We didn't get payment holidays in 2008 unless we asked for it. Yeah,
Right.
I didn't do it. I didn't do any payment holidays, but that facility was available. Right now, if we've got any form of debt, it is talk. Where we're paying out monthly is talk to those lenders and just say, look, right, it's quite severe out there. Look, can we put a plan together? And that's probably the best bit of advice that anybody can do immediately, right? Is just batten down the hatches, as I like to call it. And then for me, it's about protecting your income streams, your cash flow. And Russ, you just did high, medium, and low priority risk with your portfolio. I did a traffic light. I did a traffic light on mine, right? So that to me is massively prudent right now. If you've got tenants, know who your tenants are and know what position they're in, yeah, and actually just let them know that your communication links are open at all times. Don't feel embarrassed if something happens that they haven't foreseen in any way, shape, or form. Um, it is a time of micromanaging the portfolios, just so as that we don't get any nasty shocks along the way. Yeah. Okay. They're the business elements to it, and it doesn't matter whether you're in a job there or whether you're a property investor or you're self-employed or you've got businesses in some way, shape, or form. Right now is protect the cash, hold on to the cash. Right, the next bit is what can you do, yeah, in a period like this. So this is a reset. This is a time for reflection. Ask yourself, what could I have done better? What decisions have I made in the past that I could have made slightly better, that wouldn't have caused me as much pain? What decisions have I made in the past that have actually benefited me right now? Get those lessons, learn from it. But it's a phrase that I use from Jim Rohn, and Jim Rohn, there's a book out there, The Seasons of Life. I can't tell you all to buy a copy of it, but just buy a copy of it, read it. It'll help you through this time. I think it's probably one of the best books to deal with a situation and understand this situation in greater depth. And feeding your mind is absolutely critical right now. All you have to do is turn on any form of media and it's all negative. It's all negative. Do your best to stay away from the negative, because all that's happening is news channels are filling up space, right? Trying to make it as though the world is absolutely caving in. Yeah, it's not caving in. The sun's going to rise in the east tomorrow. It's going to set in the west tomorrow night. Yeah, the world's going to carry on. The world's going to carry on spinning. These guys in media have to try and create a job for themselves, so they just pump out as much, wrong word, garbage, but that's what they're doing. They're throwing bad stuff into our heads. So what we have to do is to combat that is put some of the good stuff in our head. Read all the positive books. If anybody wants my book list that I give out to anybody on the T60, I'm sure I can get that up on Facebook in some way, shape, or form. Russ, you could organise that all for me. Start there. Watch the YouTube videos. Watch all the good stuff about empowering yourself. Don't sit around waiting for things to happen. Start making things happen, because right now there's a winter, and for those of you that aren't planning for the spring, right, are going to miss the spring when it turns up. Yeah, and when the spring turns up, there will be opportunities for us all, guys. Yeah, you've got to stay positive. For me, one of the main things is showing empathy to all sorts of people, trying to help people wherever you can, right? I mean, it's not perfect, but a kind word here, there, and everywhere, even though we're under pressure ourselves, right, goes a long way. I mean, I might be 61, a little bit overweight. I've been drinking way too much, but I'm going to be
That'll
staying
all
fit.
stop. That'll
Yeah,
all stop
yeah, that'll all stop.
or slow down.
Yeah, I'm going to be staying fit and healthy. So this afternoon, I'm lucky that I live in a part of the country where I can go out into the countryside very quickly, within 5 minutes of where I live. And I'm going to spend a couple of hours walking every day just to clear my head, get out and about, because staying inside is just absolutely nutty in my world. Yeah, get out there a little bit. Luckily, I've got a little bit of a gym at the back there. I've got a tyre that I can pump up and down to do my squats with. All right, so staying fit and healthy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And actually, in life, right, the majority of success in life comes through your happy relationships with other people. Right, so that's why I say go out and give lots of love. Yeah,
Yeah.
right now, this is a reset for everybody, and for those of you that with the investor mind, you will be able to see opportunities coming. So start planning of what you're going to be doing. Right, when you come up, when we all come out, of this. Yeah, don't make emotional short-term decisions that's going to affect your long-term plans, right? Because some people will say, right now, all this doesn't work. Yes, guys, it works. You know, I'm living proof right now. You know, God willing, I'm living proof that the strategies that we teach stand the test of time. This is the second big downturn that I've faced in my property investment career, and this whole thing about buying properties for income is absolutely spot on out there. As people are starting to realise that they've got no income streams coming in, yeah, and if it wasn't for the government, they'd be absolutely stuffed. Yeah, I'm going to say one of the main things right now is just plan for the future as best as you can. Start painting a decent picture for yourselves, and I'm sure that in years to come, some of you will come to me and say, Mark, right, that little Facebook live thing that you did.
Well, I think we just Mark's just hanging there a little bit on his tech. So until he comes back, what we'll do, I'll just answer a couple of quick questions. We've got people here asking about freestanding evictions. Somebody's asking, currently evicting a tenant due to non-payment. I'm worried they'll use COVID-19 tenant protection to prevent the eviction going ahead. Now, there's a couple of angles to this. One is that pre-existing the new emergency legislation around protecting tenants who don't pay applies only to tenants who can prove that they're being falling into rent arrears because of the virus. The anything before then, the debt still stands, and even the debt incurred during the virus will still be debt. It's not that tenants will just have that wiped off. They'll need to come up with a payment plan, get themselves onto housing benefit, and then be sorting that out. No, obviously we're going to encourage you to be empathetic to tenants who are making an effort to get themselves onto housing benefit, who are getting themselves sorted with trying to find alternative work. The more practical implication is that those who are going through eviction already is that the courts, the bailiffs are closing down, they're shutting. Seen some stuff recently about bailiffs not going out and doing evictions in certain areas, and that really is only going to decrease over the next few months as the country locks down anyway. Around that, one of the other questions that's come up is about rent guarantee insurance, and this is something that we touched on the other night, Thursday, when we ran the first of these Q&As. Rent guarantee insurance currently is still being sold by a number of companies, and they are saying that new tenancies will be covered even after the outbreak of COVID-19. One of the things that we're seeing is that companies won't cover existing tenancies, or they will cover existing tenancies, but only with a 90-day exclusion. So that's something that you might be worth looking at. And I rather suspect that, given last night's announcements about the support that's available for tenancies, that that insurance is likely to be in place continuously. That's my personal view, not something I've heard from the industry yet. But with the government basically backing jobs, backing people with increased housing benefit, the universal credit allowance has been raised by £1,000 per year. The insurance companies, so I suspect that they'll start to include that. And sorry, I've just seen Mark's coming back now. Not sure what happened there. So here we go. Mark coming live. 3, 2, 1. There we go. He's back. Hello.
I ain't saying all that again, that's for sure.
I covered for you. We've just touched on a couple of questions around evictions, people who've been who are going through evictions at the moment, the fact that that's slowing down, but that the existing people who are in arrears won't be able to use the emergency legislation that's been introduced because they've not been affected by the virus. If they're a scally, then they're still a scally and the government still sees them that way. The challenge will be getting them through the courts and getting the bailiffs out. That's going to be the practical challenge. A couple of questions around rent guarantee insurance, which I've covered, and saying that given that the announcement that the government's going to be covering a lot of people's wages, that's probably going to be and continue. So, Mark, there's a couple of questions in here then. Something that comes up on creative finance quite a lot is around capital raising and refinancing of properties. We've got a few questions asked about should I be refinancing my residential? Should I be looking at further advances on properties where there's a lower loan to value to raise cash, either for opportunities or for short term? What do you think about that?
Right. To me, that all depends on the individual circumstances, to be honest. Refinancing right now, might be a really good strategy for raising capital. Why? Because interest rates are low. I'm not 100% sure what the mortgage lenders have done with regard to products yet, but that will start to happen. That will start to come through. So maybe that'll be a little bit clearer as we progress. Refinancing of properties. No, I've got to say it's on individual terms. So if your back's against the wall and you need that money for whatever reason, I understand it. Although right now I would just be loath to go out and say today I'm going to refinance. I would just hang on for another month or so and just find out exactly what the lenders are actually going to be offering. But that is a strategy, right? Going to be a strategy right now. But it will be interesting to see how much the lenders actually drop the rates, because it can affect cash flows quite massively for all of us. Yeah.
Okay, that's possibly one we can maybe see whether we can get a friendly mortgage broker on one of these Q&As and start to give us a bit of reaction as the market starts to react. They normally take a few weeks, I would have thought, wouldn't they, for lenders to see really what their exposure is and where their capital reserves are as to whether they want to get aggressive.
Yeah, the lenders themselves are also going, oh shit, right. So they're putting in contingency plans absolutely here, there, and everywhere, and that's why I say just leave it a month or so. I wouldn't be doing anything today or making any decisions today. In general, anybody that I'm working with, and some of them might be on here that I'm not even spoken to yet. But if we're about to buy, I'm saying hold. We're not spending that cash until we've got a clearer picture of what's going on. Yeah, I don't care how good the deal is. We're not buying until we've got a clearer picture. Yeah, that's where I am today. So the mindset is right. So I'm Russ. I'm just about to be buying your house. I really want it because it's a good cash flow house for me. I can see the long term opportunity. I'm in the frame of mind of, look, Russ, right now, because of what's going on, I want the house. I'm just going to put it on hold until we see what happens. And we've got no idea where we're going to be in 3-6 months' time. Right. So we've not committed the cash today into something where we don't know where we're going to be in 3-6 months or even 12 months' time. Yeah. So that's where I'm on that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just going to cover a little bit of what's the kind of support's going to be there for Asset Academy people over the next few months. Obviously, that's one question that's on people's minds. We've already kicked in with the Facebook Q&As, which we've done. This is number 3 already. We're planning to continue these for at least the next 2 weeks. So we'll be aiming to do weekdays 7 o'clock every evening. We're looking at weekends. Obviously, this is all around people's availability. We're all jumping on this in our own time, as well as managing our own portfolios, our own businesses. But we want to be there to support you. It's the family that's got all of us to where we are. There's a good
Family's a good
200.
word.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, family's a good word, Russ. Yeah.
yeah, we are a family, and we're a pretty blooming big family as well. There's a good 200 people on the phone list of mentors, trainers, coaches, all the people that have supported you through your journey so far. So there's plenty of us to be there for you. The guys that host the Yes events, we're looking at all the different ways that we can support you. That obviously the face-to-face stuff is going to be curtailed for a while. The advanced courses, they're looking at live streaming those where they can. We're talking about what we can do with the Yes events, whether perhaps there's a little bit of technology wizardry that we can use there. You've still got the Facebook group.
I'm sure Danny will come up with some absolutely phenomenal ideas on that one.
Yeah, I'm sure he's on it already. So we've got those. We've got the Q&As. We'll get obviously a number of the people. We've got Rohan doing a Q&A on Monday on fears, because we appreciate, obviously, at this time people are going to be fearful, people are going to be anxious. There's a lot of positivity, I would say, in the last 12 to 24 hours, but obviously people are going to have questions. So Rohan's doing a piece specifically on that on Monday, and then as we go on, as I say, we'll all be there. The mentors, we're all getting texts and emails from mentees that we've worked with over the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years, for those that have been around the longest. So we're there for you. That's that's kind of what we're offering. That's our support. So let's have another quick look at a couple of questions here then. We've got some questions around Angel Finance. So obviously, as one of the creative finance trainers, Mark, I bet you're excited.
I'm always excited. Yeah.
Why have I said that, Mark? Why have I used that phrase, excited?
I have no idea, Russell. You tell me.
So it's one of the. Yeah, for those of you that haven't been on the creative finance course yet, the I'm excited is the easiest script to remember, because when you go around and you talk, particularly at the moment, people say to you, how are you feeling? Most people are going to be expecting you to, I'm an R. No, I'm excited. Why are you excited? Well, I do this property stuff. And if they don't know you do this property stuff, they do now. You've got a great message for angel investors. Their interest rates have just been cut twice in 2 weeks. Anybody with cash in the bank is going to be looking probably at holding it for a few months just to ride out the storm. And then they're going to be thinking, my ISA that I'm getting nothing on already. Barry touched on Thursday night about the potential of negative interest rates. Never seen in the UK before, but not unheard of in parts of Europe. People with cash in the bank, and there are plenty of them, they'll be spotting opportunities.
Angel Finance coming out the back end of this, exactly the same as 2008, 9, 10. It will be caught because people just aren't getting the returns, and it was because of 2008 that really Angel Finance, in the way that we in Asset Academy talk about it. It is interesting that when I go and talk to people around the country with other organisations, they do not focus on the angel finance as much as we do, right? Because we see the true reality. I mean, Russ, you and I were in a room there the other day. What's it, 26 people with £7.5 million in angel finance, am I right? All just by practicing the stuff that we actually teach. And the best thing is we're helping other people in our circles to get far better returns than giving it to some absolute stranger, which we don't want. I'd rather recycle the money through my family than through somebody else's family, that's for sure.
Yeah, and that's something that a lot of Asset Academy students are going to be out there using already. good time. I would say probably a time to steady your angel investors. Reassure them that you've bought properly. What your plans are. We always talk on creative finance as well as about being honest with people about the risks.
Yeah.
If you're open with people, they'll see that you're a sensible business person, that you're looking at this. But great opportunity, I would have thought, in a couple of months to go back to some short term, maybe 12-month angel investors, talk to them about extending maybe 3 years, 5 years, and you maybe see a whole new business model starting to open up new opportunities. So there we go. Right, we've got about 3 or 4 minutes left. So I'm just going to couple of quick fire questions. Right, where are we? We've got everybody everywhere will be desperate to lend to people if it's how they make money. Apparently, that's one of the comments. I think where people are starting to get the positive message here. Are you going to provide a schedule of these video calls? Who is doing what and when and what topics? We will, as far as possible. At the moment, there's a couple of very hectic WhatsApp groups and phone groups going on for us to try and make sure that we can schedule people in. We've got lots of offers of help from the family, from mentors, from coaches, from trainers. What we're trying to do is just juggle them around so that each night we've got people with different perspectives on things. They can cover whether it's raising money, whether it's economics, lease options, social housing. Now there's a course that's going to be popular in the next 12 months. I would have thought the social housing course, understanding how to work with people on that. So we'll get Neil and Heather on there. We've got Rohan doing fears on Monday. There's plenty of people out there with plenty of experience we're going to be bringing in to support you. We'll be emailing, we'll be Facebooking. Keep an eye on the Facebook group, turn your notifications on, make sure that you're connected with us on all the forms of social media, Instagram and the Asset Academy page as well. So right, Mark, last couple of things there. I think we've talked a little bit about exercise, about positive mind feed. On the whole, how are you feeling?
On the whole, well, I'm pissed off. I like going out there and doing stuff. I'm being confined to barracks, as Lindsay Hopkins would say. It's just not my style. However, right, we have to adapt. So I think the hardest bit that I'm struggling with is routine. Yeah, more than anything else, and that's why this afternoon I'm going to be going out there and doing a couple of hours. I'll do me little hit sessions to try and keep me going. I'm drinking lots of tea, but I've got a fridge full of beer as well to help me get through this. One of the things
you've not got Corona in there, have you? You're not drinking Corona.
No, it's all bottles of San Miguel, I'm afraid. Yeah. But one of the things that right, so, for some of you might want to educate yourself in some way, shape or form. One of the best channels that I watch, and Russ, I know that you follow it because I told you to,
Yep.
It's CNBC. During the weekdays, just follow it just during the day. It's interesting to watch other people's perspectives on life. They bring real top class investors on there, and you can learn absolutely loads from people like that. Just one little phrase that they say, and you go, "Oh, real? Do you know what? That's really good." So CNBC during the weekdays would be an absolute main thing. Well, it is a main thing that I do, and that's probably my best entertainment. That and Bloomberg. This investing stuff just absolutely fascinates me. The market might be down, but the market's going to be up at some point in the future. Yeah. So those are the things that I'm doing just to keep myself positive. I'm not watching the BBC. I'm not watching Sky News. I'm keeping away from all of that. Anything like the Daily Mail, newspapers. No, I'm not. Yes, I need to know what's going on, but to me, it's just so much negativity. They don't say. They're not saying out there, look, here's a person that's recovered from coronavirus. Look, he's getting on with his life. Yeah. They're not showing that. It's all doom and gloom. I hate the press. I'm sorry. Yeah. Hate the media. Let's put it like that. Yeah.
All right, and a couple of favourite books, so things that people can go out straight away, get on their Kindle, order on Amazon, listen to Audible? What books would you be pointing people towards?
I mean, I mentioned one there, The Seasons of Life by Jim Rohn. Yeah, and actually his other book, Seven Strategies for Health and Health, Wealth, and Happiness. I think it is. There's a couple of easy read books. Yeah, that would give you a better philosophy of life. And as Jim Rohn would say, your philosophy dictates everything that you do. So those would be good ones just to help us put into context where we are right now.
Yeah. Okay. So just a couple of last little things and some really positive things that we can do there. A couple of quick questions about mentorships in April and May. At the moment, we're not doing mentorships in April. I believe that's being communicated out at the moment to people that are affected. Obviously, we'll have to wait and see. One of the main things is, although we're allowed out and about to some extent, obviously what we've got to reduce, we've got to look after everybody's health, but also if estate agents are starting to slow down viewings, people are worried about coming into their houses. We've obviously got to be mindful of that. We want you to have a good mentorship, not be sat there for 3 days with not a lot to do. So there will be activities coming out over the course of the next few weeks. We'll be drip feeding things that people can do, whether you're right at the beginning, building your portfolio with area research, or whether you're a more advanced investor with a portfolio. We'll be drip feeding things that you can do to make sure that you're looking after your cash flow. There'll be plenty of the Facebook Live videos. There'll be plenty of emails coming out. We'll be looking at how the Yes events adapt to support you. So thanks for joining us. We've had a good 45 minutes here. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's been useful, giving you a different perspective. All I think we'll leave you with is be happy, be positive, look for the opportunities, and look after yourselves.
Yeah, I'm there with Russ. I mean, the main thing that I say is family and health first. Yeah, and all the rest will follow. Yeah, there's me.
All right, folks, look after yourselves. Good to talk to you, and we'll publish what's happening tomorrow, and 7 o'clock Monday for Rohan's Fears and Anxieties session. See you soon.
Big thumbs up, guys. All the best. Bye.
Boom. Boom.
Boom.